Hello. Is that a friendly hello? I hope so. Hello, class. It's your Instructor JJ. Bright Idea Records, located at brightidearecords.com. Why do I always say that? Because I hope you'll buy my music. Super bright rhyme. Anyway. I'm not sure if this was supposed to be lesson plan 5 or 3. But ultimately, I guess it's going to be lesson plan number 2. So, I have zoomed the camera out. I apologize, it's not my HD camera. I cannot find it right now. So, what am I planning to address right now? I plan on addressing a thing called the power structure. What is the power structure? I think it's basically synonymous, or at the very least akin, if you will. Alright, the power structure is something like the establishment. What is the establishment? It's basically sort of like the man. You ever hear people say, damn the man? It's not necessarily about a literal, is it X chromosome or Y chromosome? I'm a dropout, so I'm not quite sure about a lot of things I talk about, but I make it abundantly clear when I don't. No, it's not about a literal man. It's more about the illusions that keep you playing a game that is absolutely no fun and not even rewarding at all. These illusions are much like a carrot dangling on the end of a string, or what some people would call tests, like a fisherman's fishing line. Oh yeah, a carrot on a string attached to a fishing rod, being held by whom? Yes, the man. You guessed correctly. Yeah, I know. You think if you keep playing the game, hustling, making that Skrilla, holla, I got $1. You think, yeah, oh, it's gonna work out, right? Ultimately, education is the key. I'm sure that if I had an MBA, I'm sure of it. I'm fucking 100% positive if I had pursued a business degree, I would be doing a lot better than I am right now. Why am I so sure of that? Because I've taken a few business classes. And yeah, they were pretty helpful. Ultimately, not helpful enough. You know, there are some sayings, if you will. Sayings like, they're not playing with a full deck. It is a metaphor to a pack of cards like you might play poker or blackjack with, if you will. And if you are not playing with a full pack, you're really only getting to play half of the game. And by the way, that's not very fun. Another saying or witticism that you might be familiar with is not the sharpest knife in the drawer. But damn, she's got a nice set of spoons. Know what I mean? Those are the kind of things that people say behind your back when they can tell you're a high school dropout and you're only playing with half a deck. One chimichanga short of a combo plate? How about not the brightest light in the array of light bulbs? I forget how that one goes. You know, it's not your fault. It has to do with like privilege and shit like that. They say that if you got white skin, you got freedom when to exercise again. Or maybe not freedom, but privilege. You know, that is what it is. I think we're all familiar with the term white trash. It's not exactly politically correct. It is a real thing. It's basically synonymous with trailer trash, right? I don't know. Oh, this is going to be a fun one. This is just the introduction. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that, you know, there are more important things in life. I'm getting important work done right now. While I'm getting important work done right now. The funny thing is, I'm not rich. I don't have a ton of resources. I'm mostly using open source software and like really ancient technology that runs very well with certain open source software. You know, the closed source stuff, it loads a lot of extra DLLs and drivers that you don't need. Makes your system seem really crappy. But I digress. That is neither here nor there. We are talking about world peace and the things that keep us fighting with each other. Like animals. Right? You know, I'm not exactly a rich person. I'm more accustomed to something that us geeks call kibble. What do I mean by geeks? I mean science fiction fans. Kibble looks something like that. This is a good example of kibble. I do clean. I'm not a filthy animal. I'm not less than a person. Don't dehumanize me. I'm probably more human than you. I probably have more empathy. I probably have more intelligence. Sheer, raw intelligence. Not something I was told and had to pay a lot of money to learn. No, I'm way more human, but I kind of live like an animal. It's no big deal. It's because of the important work. And yes, I will clean eventually. Alright? I'm not being defensive. I'm scolding you because of all your preconceptions and judgments. Alright, my server is... They're basically made of kibble. Okay? I basically am a kibble artist. I take things and I do things that you could never do. And I'm not trying to, like, make you feel bad or inadequate. And I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal. I'm trying to say that I'm a badass with mad ninja skills. And rarely do I feel the acknowledgement I deserve. I did a little while ago when people acknowledged my Video Games and More show, which was made on public access television. A thing that is free and available to anyone. Not in my town at the moment, but I suppose it could come back at any time. I don't know. I'm not, like, familiar with the intricacies of red tape. The red tape that holds the power structure together. But what am I familiar with? I am familiar with technology, and I am familiar with people. Okay? I've posted some videos lately on the Internet Archive, located at archive.org, and my particular area, archive.org/details/@ZotTheAvengerRules. And some of it pertains to, I hate to use the word the homeless, because there's so much, like, weird shit attached to that. You know, these are people, and they may be in transition. They may be long-term, old-school survivalists. It's basically what they are. It's kind of like an alternative lifestyle. Probably the worst one there is in terms of like difficulty and hardship and no reward whatsoever. But it is free, which does feel damn good sometimes. Even if it is a pretty difficult thing to do. What am I trying to get at? I'm talking about the power structure, man. The thing that... I'm not a communist. Alright? That's kind of... I've indicated that I like the Russian people. I've even indicated that the Chinese are pretty cool. Even though the government of China has been oppressing my buddy, the Dalai Lama, for a while. I don't know the exact number of years, but I digress. This is not a political discussion. This is about us and what we do to each other. Okay? This is about the illusions. You know, there's a lot of people that think we live in the Matrix. I think Elon Musk is one of them. I watched a little documentary about a young man that killed his mother and father because he thought he was in the Matrix and gonna get freed. You know, I don't know if we're in a literal Matrix right now, like with batteries hooked up to our nervous systems or whatever. You know, I like science fiction as much as the next guy, but I'm not that gullible, okay? In fact, I'm skeptical that we're in Brahma's dream. I'm skeptical that we're, you know... I think now is pretty much the only time we're ever gonna have. That's all I believe. And I believe we're squandering that time like foolish children. Like the ones I grew up with that used to make me want to go home. Know what I mean? Probably not. I was the type of child that would see other children playing carefreely, if you will. Okay? And they're making loud noises. They're rustling things around. Sometimes shoving each other. Like pushing. Like, you know. Like that kind of shit. And they look like they're having a real rollicking good time. Me, I'm kind of fragile. For some good reasons. If I would have had some painkillers, I probably would have been okay. But I digress. I think everybody was on codeine back in those days, like the Tylenol 3s. Anyway, why would I know something like that? The barbiturates? The Darvocets? I don't know, man. Those aren't... people talk about Vicodins and Percocets these days. Why would a child know anything about adult drugs from way back when? I don't know, man. I don't know. You know, there's a lot of hardships, and there's literally, like, no help to cope with them. And, like, yeah, okay, there's programs. Yeah, I'd like to find one. It's not like I went to college to learn how to be a resourceless, poor person with lots of trauma, physical and mental, emotional, etc. Like, the whole reason I take opioid medication is because of physical trauma from a really bad accident. It's not because I've ever enjoyed opioids. That's not my preferred high, okay? I might end up combining this lecture. It might be a little bit about partying. It might be a little bit about the power structure. I feel it's important to set a good ground floor to start with. You know? Because, you probably think I'm a communist, right? Some broke dude that, like... I don't know how to be a communist. I've been an American my whole life. I was born here. Alright? I could, like, try to imagine what it's like. I guess you wait in line for stuff? I don't know. What else do I know about communism? You wait in line for stuff sometimes, like bread. I've had to do that. It's called a food box. You have to pay like $10 for it. Usually has more than just bread. It's usually a godsend blessing from the food bank and the people that donate their time to stocking those food boxes. I grew up on those. A lot of powdered eggs. A lot of, whatchamacallit. I don't know. Things. Okay? I could get all nostalgic about it because it's been a long time. If you want to feel like a dignified, real human being and not feel like a cartoon caricature of yourself, you kind of gotta, like, do what everybody else is doing. Because if you're, like, if you find that you're always relying on programs and helping hands in a society where everybody else is working hard. Oh, we work so, and they're just getting handouts. You know, yes, that was supposed to sound, what's the word? That was supposed to sound condescending to the people that would ever think for a moment that the poor are taking handouts. That's right up there with blame the victim, which we talked about in the first lecture, in terms of fucked up your ass